Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to 31 Days of Cut Files with MK and Janet. Today we are using another one of the cut files that I used for this week's project. And all of the cut files this week were created by me, and next week are created by MK. The other weeks we had outsourced and purchased from different companies. And I'm super excited about this little washing machine front, you guys. That's the one I'm using today. I am going to back it with some silver mirror paper from Tonic Studios. And what I'm doing is I am just tracing around the outside line of where I want the mirror paper to fill. And then I will just cut to the inside of that line, and it will fit on the piece that I want, because those white lines will cover it up. So trace around the outside, cut to just the inside of it. You can alternatively trace along the inside of the line where you want it to fill, or the space that you want it to fill, and then cut it a little bit bigger. In this case, I just wanted to go ahead and do it the other way. You can go back and forth and do it both ways. It doesn't really matter, whatever is easiest for you given the cut file that you are using. I did have to use it's not an X-Acto knife. It's a ceramic blade called a slice tool, I believe. I have two of them. They come in different sizes, and I used my larger one to cut out a little bit so I could do a better job of cutting. Now I apologize that I'm off screen a little bit. All I'm doing here is adding a little bit of glue to the area where I know I wanted my cut file to sit, or to the back of the cut file, and then I'm going to stick it down on this mirror paper. Now in my stash I had some oh my goodness, laminated sheets, and inside the laminated sheets I had a little bit of the Tim Holtz embossing powder, and I ran it through the laminator. This was actually done for a different project, and these were the ones that I didn't use. They were the rejects. And so there is some blue in there. It's hard to see when I'm holding it up. You can see it when it is down on top of the white paper, but it makes it look like a little bit of like blue liquid inside the piece of laminated sheet. So I'm going to use that. I was just checking to see which one I wanted to use, and now I'm trying to figure out what color I want to have these socks that are inside. And I went with a 6x6 paper pad because the print on a 6x6 is smaller than on a 12x12, at least normally, and I knew I would be able to get more design on these socks. I wanted them to be a little bit funky with multiple colors. And so I thought this would be a good paper to use, and I can pick and choose which colors. Sometimes when I back a cut file, I flip the paper over backwards and the cut file backwards, and I trace on the back side. And that's really useful because you don't have to erase any lines. But if you're trying to get a specific portion of the paper, it's very difficult to do it that way. So in this case, I traced right on the top of the paper with the cut file turned the correct way, face up, so I could get the right pattern that I wanted. Now I'm also trying to find which one of these three laminated sheets has the pattern that I want on it. For that, I want the blue to be mostly at the bottom in below the waterline in this cut file, but I want the laminated sheet to cover the whole thing because I want to make this a shaker pocket. So I'm working on that. And I put the laminated sheet on first, and then I'm putting on the socks because the socks are in the water, so they're going to be a little bit different color with that blue over the front of them, even though it's really light. And you can kind of see it there on the white paper. You can see it much better in real life. And then I am just going to go ahead and cut around that, and that's going to be the front of my shaker pocket. Now I am wiping it off because sometimes a little bit of the glue smooshes out, and on that mirror paper it shows quite a bit. So you want to make sure you cut that off if you have some mirror paper. Now I'm adding the handle of the little washing machine front, and I'm going to leave it at that for right now while I figure out the placement and what else I want done. And you might ask what I'm documenting today. When we were in Wisconsin last summer, we went to the Kohler factory, and they have a little mini museum in their basement. And this is one of the first washing machines that Kohler designed, I believe. And so I am documenting that. So it's got well, it's not the first one they designed, I don't think. It's one of the first electric electric ones. So it does talk about it right there in that right hand photo where it says electric clothes washer, and then it's got a ringer on the top as well, but it doesn't talk a whole lot about the ringer. And so I wanted to document that. It's not a great picture of the washing machine. I didn't really intend to document this when I was there and taking photos. I got more pictures of the first dishwasher because that was super interesting. But and that'll be later in the month. I am definitely going to document that. It's just not today. But I thought, I'm going to go ahead and document this because it's really kind of cool. And then I went through these papers that I have. Well, it's the pink paper that has the clothespins at the bottom there. It is from Damask Love, and I got it at Joann's years ago. I think it's one of their Right Home collection, if I remember correctly. On the back, it has all of these socks on clotheslines. And I thought, what better than to use this sock paper? I did have to go searching for it. I knew it was in my stash somewhere. I finally found it. And I'm going to go ahead and use that to create some of my embellishments. Now I am backing the little bubbles here that are hanging off the side of this washing machine front, and that's all I'm doing there is adding a little bit of liquid glue to them and then waiting till they set up enough so that I can cut them. I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to adhere this down. The lines on these are too thin for my ATG gun. If you have a dot roller, like a smaller adhesive applicator that has the dots on it, it would work really well on this. But the ATG does not work well because the tape on it's too big. So in this case, I'm just using my Nuvo because I don't have one of those little dot rollers. So I am just finishing up the dots over here. These look like little reinforcement rings. I assure you they're not. They were cut specifically for this project, but I want to make sure they are filled. And I'm going to go ahead and add those up in this area to the left of the washer. Now I think I am I am ripping the top of the paper because I want to put a little border across the top with these clothespins. Inside the little gap of the clothespin, the little circular piece that normally attaches to the clothesline, there are stars and hearts, and I thought that was super cute, and they're multicolor. So this is a good paper well, obviously the front and the back go together because they are all from the same collection, but it's a great paper to bring in a lot of different colors because it's got a lot of little colors, or a lot of different colors in little tiny bits. And so I think that's super cute. Now I am adding some foam to my little washing machine front. I am using some regular fun foam from Walmart to go all the way around the outside. Now the line in the center, I am actually putting some foam under that too to give it a little added support. And I am using a thinner piece of foam that came on a roll, and it was a roll my friend gave me, so I'm not even sure what brand it is. I'm using a polka dot stencil that is from Pear Tree Cutfiles over in the UK. You can order this online if that's something that you're interested in. I will put links down below for products that I'm using, and I am using some stencil butter in Pearl White from the Crafter's Workshop to go ahead and put through that. I really like how that looks. It looks like more of the bubbles from the washing machine, and so I'm pretty happy with that. I didn't bother to put any where that pink paper was going to cover up, and I wanted my bubbles kind of scattered and in varying sizes, which is why I chose that stencil to use. And now I just cut a backer for my washing machine, that circular piece there. And the reason I'm going to use a backer rather than just putting it directly on the paper is because it is going to cover some of that pink paper as well, but I don't want the pink paper to show through to the front of the shaker pocket. I am using some sequins to go ahead and put inside. I am not using a specific brand. They are just random package of sequins I happen to have. Trying to use up some of these sequins actually. And I'm being kind of picky about what I'm putting in there. I'm using some iridescent ones and not the black and the blue ones. I think I do put a few silver in there, but I don't want it to be too dark. I'm trying to keep it really light. Actually, I think I put a few of the light blue, but not any of the dark blue. So just trying to keep it light and not heavy on the page, and so I really like the way that is looking so far. I am actually making sure I put them below the washer line and above the washer line, and that piece of foam that's between the two water line between the water line there is going to help those ones that are up at the top of the washer to stay at the top, because there is some foam back there. It is also supporting the center of the cut file, and I like the way that that is looking. I'm inking everything up with some Catherine Pooler ink in Hot Tub, and it's kind of like a bluish gray color. It matches perfectly with the actual laminated pouch that has that blue in it, so I thought I would go ahead and use that. And then I'm just going to stick everything down with a little bit of ATG, and then work on my photo placement and the shaker pocket placement. Now, I don't mind that the shaker pocket is overlapping that photo a little bit. There's nothing right where that circular cutout would be or where the shaker is overlapping. It's just a wall, and so I don't mind that. And then I'm working on where I'm going to put these socks. I want to hang them from a wash line, and I will be using some of the twine that is just to underneath my left hand there to be my little wash line, or dry line, I should say. And what I like to do with this is I'll start with where I want it to start. I want it to naturally curve. I don't want to have to fight with it and have like wrinkles in it or bends in it that are unnatural. So what I do is I just start with putting the first side down with a little bit of the liquid glue and letting it set there until it is good and tacked down, or good and dry. And that will allow me to kind of play with it without worrying about it coming off of the opposite side and then getting all wrinkled again. And so while I wait for that to dry on the bottom right, I am working on my title. My title is going to be Genius Invention, and I'm using these Chamel stickers, or Chamel, the word from one of the Chamel packs that says Genius, and then the pink ones are Pink Fresh Studio stickers. And I'm just working on the placement of that. I will have to add a little liquid glue to both of those because they are the puffy sticker type and they don't stay great. So now I've added another little dab of glue to my little wash line, and I'm using my tweezers to hold it in place while it sets up. And then it looks like it's going to have a little natural curve to it, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue to a couple of the other points and let it set up before I cut the end off. And then I will add a little foam to the back of all of these socks. They all get a little bit of foam on them so that they are popped up. I've already got enough dimension on this page with the shaker pocket, so it's not going to matter if I add a little bit more with all of the socks being popped up. And then I'm going to do the same over here, where I just start with a couple of the pieces of or a couple of little dots of glue to hold my line in place. And when that gets set up, then I will go ahead and do the rest so that it has a natural feel instead of that weird funky bend that you see at the top where the twine is going over the word invention. I don't want that to happen, of course. While I do that, I'm still working on backing all of my little socks with some foam and then sticking them on to the layout with a little bit of the Nuvo glue. I was going to say ATG. That's not ATG. And then I'm using my acrylic block to kind of hold things in place while they set up, because the added little weight of that really does help. My acrylic blocks are very thick because I had my son make them for me when he worked at Tap Plastics, which is an acrylic company. And so they are about a 1/2 inch thick. They're pretty heavy, but I like that they're heavy and that they add this perfect amount of weight. And the sizes that they are actually what I asked for, so custom made. They don't have rounded edges though, so they are kind of boxy and the corners are a little bit pointy, but they work great for what I want, so I'm happy with them. Okay, I'm just working on adding that foam to those top socks. While I do that, don't forget to check out what MK's got going on her channel today. If you're not part of the 31 Days of Cutfiles Facebook group, you should go and join that, because she's got lives going on throughout the month to talk about different things, to show you different techniques, and there's a lot of information over there in the guides. So go and check out what she's got going on. so that you can get all kinds of good information. And the information that she's sharing with you is not necessarily only specific to these cut files. You can use them for all different cut files, some stitching techniques and such. And so it's well worth your while to check it out, even if you don't have the particular kit that has these cut files in it. If you are interested in these cut files, last I checked, she still had at least one more kit left. And if she doesn't, we do have a digital bundle for her week and my week. And then she does have links in the, I believe, in the guides for the other weeks, so that you can go and purchase those individually if you see something that you're interested in. Okay, I've got all of my washing lines set up. I did wrap the end of the top one around the descender of the letter G, so that it looks like it's just kind of twisted around there, and let that set up with glue, and I really like the way that looks. And then I just used one of my favorite old stamp sets to create this label in this royal blue color. I believe I used Dress Blues for this, which is a Catherine Pooler ink, but I wanted to bring that dark blue down because I have so much dark blue in the upper left hand corner with the title. I wanted to bring more of it down below. And now I am going to go ahead and just add a bunch of these little tiny sequins to this lower area, and I'm using just the iridescent ones, and actually I'm using some, they're like little tiny seed beads, and it looks kind of like little bubbles. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. You'll see those much better in the close-ups if you stick around for that. And then I am using some of the other iridescent ones to kind of fill in here and there, but they're small, so I really like that. And then I've added the little bubbles that I had finished backing over to this area that I'm working in currently, and I really like how that's looking. So trying to be a little bit random with how everything flows up, even though it's not really random, of course, because I'm the one who's putting it down. And I'm using a crystal katana tool that I picked up from Hobby Lobby way back when they still had 40% off coupons. I think you can still get them in Hobby Lobby, but they don't have coupons now, so they're a little bit pricey. But it works great. I've never had a problem with this tool, and I like it a lot better than any of the other little sequin pickers or jewel pickers that I've tried. And I think you can get it on Amazon as well. If so, I will provide a link down below for you in case you're interested in that. Okay, I've just added a few more of those little bubbles up top, and I think that's going to do it, you guys. Oh, nope, going to add a few more. Just adding a few more between the socks, kind of having those bubbles float up across the layout. And that is it, you guys. I'm just going to give you a slow close-up of this so you can see the movement and flow of it rather than just the still shots. So there's all my little sequins inside. You can see the bottom half of that shaker is a little bit more blue, as are the bubbles that are floating up. And that is it. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you guys, just leave those down below. I will get back to you as quickly as I can. I am behind. I'm answering in small batches as I can. I will be back tomorrow over in the 31 Days of Cut Files group, doing a live with tomorrow's cut file, Crazy Times. So there will not be a video on my channel. So you'll have to come to the Facebook group to check that out. And I don't know what time I'm doing, probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I will post earlier in the day with an exact time so you can check it out. Thanks again for watching and spending time with me today, you guys. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys again on Friday with another video right here.